was a satanic cult, and I needed to protect myself. You see, we were doing the show in the Majestic, which has live bats flying around backstage, and they fed into my paranoia. So I did half the show that night, but I refused to go on for my scene in the second act. And what my hallucination was that if the bat came down during the scene and hit me, I would go to hell with the rest of them. So I refused to go on. That was the night the producers were there. So I asked for 2 weeks off. They gave me 6. They asked me if I would stay and go into a psych ward in San Antonio, Texas. And I refused, because the idea of being in San Antonio, Texas psych ward by myself with no family and the show would have moved on scared the hell out of me. So in full psychosis, I took a flight back to the Eastern Shore to Calvert Memorial Hospital. It was Pee-wee's Big Adventure! Try finding your baggage. I have a hard time finding my baggage when I am in a normal state of mind. Try doing it when you're psychotic and the walls are moving more than the baggage turntable. But I made it! And because I was so long in psychosis, I lost the ability to move any of my hands and arms, and I was taken once again by ambulance to the hospital. This time there was a diagnosis: bipolar and meds. Meds. My first med was Resperdal. It made me narcoleptic. Mamma Mia was kind enough to have me back. They welcomed me back into the Broadway company. Temporarily. I reiterate, temporarily. Because I fell asleep in the dressing room upstairs on the Resperdal and missed the fish scene. And if you've seen the show, you know how important it is. Help me. Oh, that was the fish scene. I missed my cue.
That's right. You missed it twice now.
Twice. They kicked me out of Broadway. No more Broadway for me. Off to Vegas for 4 years. But first, I had to change those meds. Second med, Abilify. Thank you, John. So, Abilify. I'm sure you've seen, the side effects to Abilify on television. Sleeplessness, anxiety, sore throat, tremors in the legs, suicidal thoughts, increased suicidal thoughts, and a flattening of emotions. It was the flattening of emotions that got me. My 2 brothers died while I was in Las Vegas, 2 of the 3, within 6 months of each other. It's always 6 months in my family. They try to stick it all together so it doesn't mess up your timing. Anyway, died while I was there, and I couldn't cry. And I knew there was a problem. So I started self-medicating. My drug of choice? Cocaine. It was fantastic. It's a psychotic that worked against my anti-psychotic and leveled me out. So I was pretty normal. Oh dear. Yeah, you think I'm crazy? You just ask Charlie Sheen. Winning. So, help me, John.
Any other side effects?
Oh yeah, there's more side effects. In addition to that, the flatulence. There's the weight gain. I am the size size of a small Shetland pony. No, go ahead, laugh. It's all right. I do every day. There's nothing else to do about it. Shetland pony. It happens that if I were to wear, well, thank God I live in New York. If I wore an animal print on the island that I'm from, I would get shot. And that's another thing. Not all bipolars go around shooting people. That's bullshit. I prefer to publicly humiliate them. My self-esteem is so low, I try to level the playing field. At least I didn't have children. I just have cats. I had 3, now I have 2. One of them died. I felt bad, I couldn't afford to get her cremated, so I stuck her in the freezer. Is that weird? Anyway, back to the story. Okay, so I have to get a job. I have no job. I need to cremate this cat. I have no money. I have no job. My unemployment's running out. My meds have already run out. I'm still self-medicating. And I get a call from a friend that he has a job for me on Broadway. And I jumped at the chance. Now, help me, John, I'm so sorry.
You have to say this. Does that help? I can't play and give you cues at the same time. Trying to fit the programming Bellevue would give you.
Oh, thank you. I have to say, if I had known what I know now, Bellevue has this wonderful program that they give free meds to people with bipolar illness that don't have insurance. But I didn't know this, and I was so happy to be off the meds after 9 years and feeling so good that I didn't pursue it. So I kept self-medicating. How did I do that with no money? I didn't. My lover did. He kept giving me drugs, and I kept doing them. And as I spiraled into my psychotic episode, he drifted farther away from me. As I got sicker, we fell apart. And then the paranoia started happening. I thought that my boss and his lover were trying to get me fired, which was probably true because I was speaking very liberally about my sex life backstage. And incidentally, my lover was the director of the show. So, and the prop girl was his daughter's girlfriend. So everything that I said went directly back to him. I was not a team player. Now you can help me again. I apologize.
Does it get worse?
Yes! God, I'm sure. It's getting worse by the moment. Yes! I started to hallucinate that the cast was there to test me and judge me and make a decision about whether I went to heaven or hell. And, you know, like in the Bible, whether you're a goat or a sheep. And then I stood up. And then, yeah, well, it's television. And then I started seeing them nude, which is not unusual backstage on Broadway. But then I heard auditory hallucinations of them baiting me about my religiosity. And finally, I collapsed after doing all my cues, crying in the corner. The management came and ushered me backstage to the wig room and out of the theater and into St. Luke's psychiatric ward on 59th Street. Oh, excuse me. Hello? Oh, wrong number. That reminds me how hard it was to get a phone call in the psych ward. There were 20 psychotics, one phone, and no calls out. Just like AT&T. Okay, now, for any of you who plan on going to a psych ward. Calvert Memorial was the gentlest of the three. Highland Park Hospital was somewhere in between, and St. Luke's was Fright Night. There was a team of 4 people assigned to every psychotic. There was a doctor, a nurse, an assistant, and an orderly. Oh my! And none of them would do anything without each other's permission. You had to know who to ask. I think they hid their fucking name tags just to be funny. And they changed shifts every 4 hours. So when you're in psychosis and you're trying to keep this straight, not a great thing. Now, for the sake of anonymity, I won't go into their stories, except for 3. There was a 70-year-old male, Lady Gaga. He was adorable. He was a good friend of mine. And a sad young woman who had been gang raped, who was homeless, who thought she was a CIA agent that stopped me from using the phone. I think she was protecting me. And then there was my roomie. I loved her. She's a beautiful black woman with 3rd-degree burns down the right side of her body, who would lay in her bed in fetal position most of the day until I coaxed her out to go to get something to eat. And that was hard because I was in psychosis. Her story is that her father had left her mother, and in her mother's anger, she had burnt the house down that they lived in with her daughter in it, and had killed herself and burnt her daughter. Inhumanity affects the psyche. After 7 days, I petitioned for my release from St. Luke's because it was making me ill. I have done CODA, CAAA, SLA, bipolar support, St. Clement's Church, dual diagnosis, therapy, psychiatry, friendship, Facebook, blogs, and now this. Please don't be afraid of what you're hearing now. My psychotic episodes only come once every 10 years. And all I do is see people nude. And that can be a little scary here and there. Or any other nursing home. I have a lot to look forward to. Or I hear conversations between God and Satan. And that's pretty witty repartee. I am I'm a goat for God. I'm not good enough to be a sheep. But I believe in God. It's the only thing that got me through. It's like being on acid in the 70s. I fight for the good for all mankind when I'm in a delusion or a hallucination. Like a superpower, without the superpowers or the leotard. So I guess my advice to all of you is don't take too much more than aspirin. If you do, be careful. Make sure you're with people you love. Don't mix meds. Don't be afraid of therapy. And hire someone who is mentally disabled, or don't dismiss them. They might write a play.